you have a rubric document explaining the flow of the drawing package, and you have a video explaining the flow of the drawing package. But we haven't really talked about how to do the drawing package. So that's what this is about. And to start off with, let's get a drawing. And I want a landscape. That's it. It's the 279 by 215. It's a size landscape, 8.5 by 11 basically. Okay, hit OK. There you go. Now we want first page. We want our main assemblies. So I'm going to go to my assemblies folder. I'm going to grab Three Sisters main. And I want the isometric view. There it is. And I'm going to dump it right there. Now, it's not correct because it's not shaded with edges, but I can make it that. Okay. It's too small. I can make it bigger. I'm not going to use the sheet scale. I'm going to click on Use Custom Scale. And let's see, 1 to 2. Holy cow, that's big. Oh, but this is the exploded view. I don't want the exploded view. I want the regular view. If I scroll up, there's a checkbox here now. And this changed, I think, in 2018. Just uncheck the, and there you go. Uncheck the box. Center that up. That looks pretty good. Now, these sketch entities are viewable. Let's hit the eyeball, drop down, uncheck the sketch entities. That's the first page. Let's change the name of the first page. We'll rename, just like in Excel, these are sheets along the bottom. Let's name this Three Sisters main. Cool. Add a sheet, click it. Look at that, another sheet. What do we want? Well, we want to go to Model View, Browse. We want that Three Sisters main again, and we're going to dump it exactly the same way we did the last one, except we wanted ISO, didn't we? Shoot. Okay, it's not, all is not lost. I can select an ISO, click it, hit OK, delete this view, move the ISO down. All right, so now I'm back in the same boat as I was before. I want shaded with edges. Scale is probably going to be wrong in the exploded state. We did what, 1 to 2 last time? That's too big. What about 1 to 1.5? Oh, that's 21.5. Oops, went the wrong way. About 1 to 3. That looks pretty good. Play around. Just look into, and we want to equalize the white space. This distance from here to here should be about the same as from here to here. It needs to be centered. We're centered, we're in the right view, we're shaded with edges. Let's go OK. Now, we need balloons. So I'm going to go to Annotations, and we're going to click Balloon. Do not click Auto Balloon. You will regret it. Okay? Balloon. I'm going to do this so that it reads from left to right. There's a subassembly. Ignore the number, it doesn't matter. There's a subassembly. There's a subassembly. There's a subassembly. And there's a subassembly. Now, they're not in the right order, but that's okay because I can click on that and I can write in here where it says balloon text. Instead of it being item number, I want that to be the number 1. Sweet. Change this one. Text 2. You get it. It's pretty simple. All my subassemblies are labeled. I use numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes from left to right. I typically like things going left to right, or if I have to, if there had to be some over here because of a space consideration, You want them to go clockwise. Let's rename this. This is Three Sisters main, we'll just call this main explode, because that's what it is. According to our sheet, the next page should be an isometric view of our first subassembly. Well, that's this one. Open up a sheet, go to drawing, model view. I think I named that 5, pretty sure. And I want an isometric view of that subassembly. I want it shaded with edges. And I want it bigger than that. And that's 1:1. What's 2:1 look like? That's big. Yeah, it fits. Let's run with it for right now. Sheet 2. Rename. Sub 1. Next page, according to our sheet, should be the explosive subassembly 1. So, let's open up a sheet. I already showed how to do explodes in the previous video. Go to model view. I'm going to grab that same subassembly. I'm going to plunk it in the isometric view right there. Shaded with edges. I'm going to use a custom scale. What did we use last time? 2:1. That's too big for an explode. So 1:1 doesn't look really good. 2:1 is too big. What about 1.5:1? Remember, we're in custom scale. I can do anything I want. Looks pretty good. Let's run with that. But I want this exploded. So that scale is not quite right for that. So let's go back to 1:1. Let's just leave it at 1:1 for right now. The explode, spread it out. And let's balloon it. Go to annotations, balloon, and we are ignoring the hardware. We're ignoring the hardware because those are purchased parts. We will not be creating drawings of purchased parts. There's no sense in that. We're not making them, so the dimensions of it, that's all in the bill of materials. We don't need to do a drawing of a part that we purchased. So, part 1. This is sub 1 explode. Okay. Next sheet, according to the sheet, it goes main assembly exploded, ballooned. The next sheet would be your first assembly. The next sheet would be your first subassembly. Then the next sheet would be your first subassembly exploded with balloons of parts. Next page would be the first part of your first subassembly. Okay, I can do that. Let's go up here to drawing, model view, browse for the part, not the subassembly, the part. So I'm going to go to parts. This is provided parts, and this is the manifold. Now, which views do I need of the manifold? I kind of need a lot of them. I need the front, I need the top, I need the bottom, I need the left side, not the right side. The feature is on the left side, not the right side. I need the left, and in every part, you're always going to have an isometric view. Sweet. Now let's look at these individual views. I'm going to get this centered up. I'm going to give it shaded with edges. I may change the scale for this to make it a little bit smaller. It does not have to be the parent scale. This can be a custom scale. I might sneak these over a little bit to give myself a little bit more room. It might not look like it, but there's a lot of dimensions on this. Next thing to think about, symmetry, because now I have to dimension this. Okay, so let's just think about symmetry. I'm going to be an annotation. Actually, let's go to sketch. I want some center lines. I see symmetry here. Center line. I now only have to dimension this hole. Because if I know the overall length of this, this is centered, and this is just some distance from center. Save myself some time. Let's put one down here. Same issue. Find the midpoint, make sure it's vertical, snap to the edge. If I know this overall, I can dimension from the center to this. It's helpful. Okay. I'm going to let you figure that out, dimensioning, but here's what you need to pay attention to. There's a button here called Hole Callout. This is where Hole Wizard pays its way, because when I click on that hole, a whole bunch of information comes from, oh, a whole bunch, haha. All the information I need for that hole comes with it. There's 3 of them. They're 0.26, 0.35 down, 5/16, 18 tap, 0.63. It's a lot of information, and I only need that there. I don't need this one and this one. There's 3 of them. Now, there's also this one. And there's also these 2. Here's something that you never do. I want you to write this down. Never. You never cross leaders. Ever. So we need to dimension this so that none of these leaders cross. And that is going to take some time. So let's click OK here. And Smart Dimension, I don't know. We will dimension this to this. Oops. We'll dimension this to this. Okay. We will dimension, we need an overall here. Maybe we'll put the overall in this view here, just to leave some room. We need a distance from here to here. Okay. What else do we need? We need this width, but I don't want to cross that leader, and I don't want to cross this leader, so I'm going to put it here. I need this dimension here. Suppose I could have put it here. I need a height. Put it there. I needed some dimensions here from this center line doggone it. Yeah, there we go. I also need a height here. So I'm going to have to move some stuff around. It's 0.38 here. Really, we'd push that out, so let's push this out. It's starting to get a little crowded. So if it's getting crowded, we need to move some things. So let's move, whoops. Let's move this over a little bit so it's not so crowded. I can move this down. Now I can extend this view, this dimension here, and extend that out. Okay. That's pretty good. Now, this center view. There's a lot more information there. Let's turn on hidden lines. All of a sudden, there's a lot of information there. Okay. Is it helpful? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. In this case, I would show hidden lines. Without hidden lines, this part doesn't look like much, but it explains the part. Like, oh, I get it. This hole goes all the way down and bisects. Okay, and it shows that it does it here, but it shows it numerically by that this hole is 2.5 inches deep. Is this part fully dimensioned? I don't actually know. I'm going to move on. That's for you to determine. So assuming that this is done, I'm going to rename my sheet. And this is subassembly 1, part 1. These names don't have to be super long. And here's the thing. When I grade this, I'm going to look for 3 parts. And I need to be able to find those parts in about 10 seconds. So to find this part, I'm going to, let's say I'm looking for the manifold. I'm going to look at your main explode. I'm going to figure out what subassembly it's in. It's in subassembly 1. I'm going to look at subassembly 1 explode. You're telling me that's part 1. And I am going to look for subassembly 1 part 1. And I should be able to find it fast. So my next page would then be, because I am done with subassembly 1, would be subassembly 2, which is also a single part, the base. Now, because the subassembly 2 is technically one part, I wouldn't do a subassembly for it. I would just throw the part up there and call it 2-1. Subassembly 3, I would throw that down, and then I would do the explode, ballooned, then I would do each part, ignoring the screw and the spring. Now, how many of those do you need to show? When you do the explode, just call it it'd be subassembly 3 part 1, and make sure you put a note in there in the cylinder and the piston that you need 3 each. You don't need to draw all these parts 3 times. You don't need multiple drawings. You need one drawing for the cylinder, one drawing for the piston, and you need to insert a note saying that there are 3 required. And this flow right here just keeps going. This right here, subassembly 1 explode, all the parts of subassembly 1. This process right here just repeats itself over and over, and some of them will have 4 or 5 parts. Okay, that should be enough information to get you going.